Whether you're a longtime fan of the channel or you're just familiar with how gaming channels do things on YouTube, it's time for me to go on a little bit too long talking about the games I enjoyed that released in 2021 and why I enjoyed them. I'll give each game a supplementary award down in the corner of the video here, like my favorite RPG, favorite remake, and all that fun stuff. And by the end of the video, I'll have talked about close to 20 different games that I enjoyed. These are not all the games that I played, just some of the ones that I thought I had the most to say about. Sound good? Well, stick around and let's reminisce, you and I, about some pretty great games that came out last year. I mean, what else are you going to watch? This is all anyone else is putting out right now, so let's join the herd and get going with the video. While I may not usually be a fan of hyper-realism in gaming, choosing instead to find silly, wacky, and oftentimes over-the-top ways of playing games, Chivalry 2 oddly enough gives me the best of both worlds. The incredibly detailed visuals in just about everything you see combines with semi-realistic medieval combat, offering a very impressively rendered experience to hack and slash your way through. At the same time, the game offers all sorts of silly ways to engage with it, including throwing random objects littered about the map, the fact that you can lose a limb, and more. Overall, an experience that I wish had some form of offline campaign mode, because sometimes just dealing with other people can be a little too much, but is otherwise a fun and partially realistic look at medieval combat in gaming. Deathloop is weird, because despite it being shown off at 500 different press conferences before it released, none of the trailers really gave an accurate feeling of just how this game plays. Budgeting time and planning routes is the name of the game here, turning this into less of a Dishonored with guns situation and more of a Hitman with magic one. That said, the game feels incredible to play. Colt is a great lead and has some fantastic dialogue, and overall it's just a great game to just sit down and mess around with, something that can sometimes even contribute to progression. And while I may have been hesitant at first about the inclusion of its multiplayer with Juliana, given how similar invasion multiplayer modes have worked in the past, I'm glad to say that this one works out surprisingly well and is just as fun as the main game. All in all, it's a great game to play that I wish ended a little bit better, but that's getting into spoilers and I want to avoid that for this video, so I'll just move on. As of me writing this, I've only just begun diving into Death's Door, another Dark Souls-inspired game that's apparently a sequel to Titan Souls, a game I have not yet played, but I may check out based solely on how much I'm enjoying Death's Door so far. You play as a small, unnamed crow, working as a reaper to collect souls for the Reaping Commission headquarters, and while that may sound kinda boring to someone, the game does a fantastic job of introducing new and exciting characters to help break up the monotony of your boring office life. While the game might be inspired by The Legend of Zelda and Dark Souls, I find myself comparing it more favorably to Hades by Supergiant Games, and that comparison alone has made me want to continue playing to find out just how much this game truly has to offer. For some reason, 2021 was the year of dodgeball games, because we not only got Knockout City, a game I'll touch on in a bit, but also Dodgeball Academia. Dodgeball Academia is a weird meshing of OKKO Let's Be Heroes, a shonen anime, and good old American dodgeball, with some light RPG elements and some fantastic characters thrown in to boot. You'll explore the school grounds, make new friends, and go on adventures together, but most importantly of all, you smack other kids in the face with dodgeballs. And thanks to the game's special powers that each character gets, you can also use things like a dodgeball Hadouken, strike them with lightning, or just straight up heal your allies because you have to have a boring one, I guess. Its tongue-in-cheek humor and fun characters help make an experience that sadly flew under the radar, but is one that I'm eager to see either continue or to play through once more. While I may have been initially apprehensive about the game's typical gameplay loop of taking careful precaution and being meticulous in performing assassinations, watching the Achievement Hunter crew's Let's Plays finally helped Hitman III click in my mind. Once I sat down to actually play through the game myself, I ended up completing the main 6 missions of the game in a single sitting, taking routes I hadn't seen done with Achievement Hunter and just having a blast planning and figuring out what the best move was. On top of that, the game is absolutely gorgeous, with beautiful vistas, incredibly dense and NPC-packed environments, and above all else, acts as a fun little sandbox to let me have as much stupid fun as I can find. It may have taken me a while to get into the game, but now I'm more than eager to see what, if anything, IO Interactive has in store for Agent 47 in the future. What starts out looking like a beautiful Pikmin meets Legend of Zelda inspired story quickly becomes one of the most player-friendly Dark Souls games I've ever played, and I say that as someone who really doesn't enjoy Dark Souls games that aren't Bloodborne. Kane can be an admittedly bland character at times. More there is a viewpiece to the stories of the various spirits she helps rather than developing in her own right, but at least she has more character than your average Souls protagonist. The real draw here is the incredibly lush environments, the tense but largely fair combat, and the expertly crafted cutscenes, all of which helps the experience come together into one that wears its inspirations on its sleeve. Kane is an interesting and surprisingly well done first game from a studio who primarily made commercials and CG animations before this, and I'm eager to see what Ember Labs cooks up next. Knockout City's initial reveal offered some interesting characters that were entirely unrelated to the game, which made me a little confused at first. But once I learned that it was a dodgeball game, I figured I would at least check it out since they were at least offering it for free for a brief window. But after only a few rounds, I knew that this was actually a game I wanted to play more than any of the hypothetical games their fake characters were from. The Cyber Greaser aesthetic helps give it a unique identity beyond just being a third-person dodgeball game, and the many unique mechanics that the game offers help to not only make it even more special, but help to offer a tense, occasionally frustrating, but almost always fun multiplayer experience. I don't know why we got two big dodgeball games in 2021, but both of them were great, and I'm here for more of them. Pokemon Snap is one of those games I always enjoyed playing, but I never actually own. And now that I have new Pokemon Snap, I think that's probably for the best. New Pokemon Snap does a lot of great things from the traditional Pokemon Snap formula, adding in more Pokemon, multiple times of day per route, and different levels to help change up how the Pokemon spawn and when. Things like that help elevate this above the original in a lot of ways, but sadly it suffers from the same problem of being intentionally repetitive, and thus a bit hard for me to want to play for long periods of time, unlike a regular Pokemon game which you can play for hours on end. Overall, just a fun experience. Just play it in bursts rather than an extended period, and you'll walk away happy. While I may have been initially skeptical of this fighting game mashup, I can confidently say that I have grown to love playing Nickelodeon AllStar Brawl. The roster of fighters is surprisingly diverse in their movesets, the movement and controls are all top-notch, and the depth to the combat itself means that this game could conceivably become a mainstay at fighting game tournaments for years to come. Sometimes the online portion of the game doesn't work out as well, and the sports minigame is really only fun once unless you're playing with friends on the couch. But the primary draw of Nickelodeon characters duking it out just works fantastically. Plus, in my All-Stars Brawl Hopefuls video, I wanted Toph to be added to the game, and it turns out she is. And on top of that, she is an absolute powerhouse of a fighter that I am proud to call one of my mains, so I'm more than happy with how that all turned out. As a fan of the franchise since I experienced the first game, Orcs Must Die 3 does everything it needs to do to live up to the first two titles, and Unchained to a degree, while bringing in new stuff to the franchise that feels just as good as what came before. The new weapons and traps all feel great, the war scenarios are massive in scale and offer a unique level of difficulty and strategy over the normal levels, and the story bits are just as fun and stupid as ever. Plus, with returning things like Endless Mode and weekly challenges, as well as the brand new Scramble Mode, which makes things a lot more hectic and chaotic, but still incredibly fun, I've just had a ton of fun going back into this game every now and then and killing me some orcs. And what's better, now there's even more campaign thanks to the Cold as Ice DLC. So overall, I'm just glad that this got out of the clutches of Stadia so I could finally enjoy it. Psychonauts 2 was the game I have been waiting far too long for, and just the first level alone had me convinced that this game is as good as I would have hoped it would be. 14 years of quality of life fixes, the move to the Unreal Engine, and the new powers and cast of characters are all welcome additions, and the top-notch writing, returning characters, and returning powers that Double Fine are known for are all as good as ever. Each new brain world is as vibrant and imaginative as ever, and thanks to a growing desire to be mindful of others in the gaming space, this game includes many content warnings and ways to remove potentially triggering additions. But thankfully, Double Fine got rid of the most triggering bit of content and doesn't even mention nils at all. I love this game so much I played it through twice in the span of only a week, and I am eagerly looking forward to my next eventual playthrough of this fantastic game. And even better than that, because Psychonauts 2 is finally out, that just means Tim Schafer will finally give us Brutal Legend 2. More console RTS, y'all. It's gonna be great. Speaking of fantastic games I played through multiple times in a very short span of time, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is one of the best games in the franchise, both for longtime fans like myself and for newcomers eager to step into this vibrant universe. The new weapons in the game each feel fun and unique to use, and with the additional functions of the DualSense controller, they feel more powerful and versatile than ever before. The alternate version of each character within Rivet's dimension are all wonderfully realized, and while I personally wish we could have gotten to see more of the relationship between Rivet and Kit, I feel they may be saving some of that for a future title and hope that we get to see them again. In general, everything about this game works. The plentiful number of references to Insomniac and PlayStation's history, the wonderfully crafted worlds and expertly written characters, and the incredible arsenal of weaponry at your disposal makes this one of the best games in the franchise and one of the best games of the year. The Maiden Demo alone sold me on the game earlier this year, but the game itself is just straight up phenomenal. The bits with Lady Dimitrescu might only take up a small portion of the early part of the game, but it's a good section that reminisces on the first game of moving through a mansion and solving puzzles, but this time with hot vampire mommy and her equally hot daughters chasing after you. The fact that all of the areas of the game have a distinct feeling to them helps elevate this one and helps keep it from getting old fast. Also, the whole thing about Ethan constantly losing parts of his hands is hilarious, and I want to see more of it. Overall, a fantastic experience that is easily one of the best games in the franchise, and I can't wait to see what body part Ethan constantly loses next. I have enjoyed many of Housemarque's games over the years, with their PlayStation 4 title Resogun still being one of my favorite games on that system. But with Returnal, they've shown that they're more than just the bang bang shooty shoot studio that they've been known for up to that point, and have delivered as fantastic a time loop experience as Deathloop, if not better. By making it a roguelike instead of just a focused narrative, the game feels fresh with each new run while also rewarding you for making progress. And now that they've implemented a save feature allowing you to take breaks in between runs, it's nice to jump in, clear a few of the procedurally generated same looking rooms or levels, and then step out again after a while, making for an experience that feels to me like a third-person Hades at times. And if I'm comparing a game to Hades, you better believe that means I hold it in high regard. Yet another procedurally generated game, this time about a teen trying to escape a politically fraught country, Road 96 offers a unique glimpse into a world of politics, survival, choice, and more, and does so without holding anything back. Teenagers who try to flee the country are rumored to be rounded up and forced into slave labor. Political advocates try to rip control away from the tight regime. Individual people either are indifferent to the conflict or directly tied to how the future of the country will shape out. Regardless of the setting, each choice you make has a tangential effect on the story, and trying to balance doing the right thing with survival can more often than not be a matter of literal life or death. Choose your path carefully, rest at the appropriate time, and hopefully you'll be able to cross the border into a new life. Aside from having a needlessly long name for this release of a previously listed title, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game, the complete edition, retains much of what made it great, along with many of the problems that the experience had originally. The occasional glitch and bug can't stop me from enjoying this game, however, as it is not only one of the best beat-em-up titles on the market, but features gorgeous pixel art, incredible music, and plenty of references to not only the comics and film that this game takes its namesake from, but to gaming itself. And hey, you can head over here to Ocean's channel, where I did a collaboration with him talking about it. Or, after this video is done, you can also check out the review we did together of the Scott Pilgrim film. Really, if you just like Scott Pilgrim, we got content for you. So, that's the point of this plug. Next game. Shovel Knight is one of the best retro throwback series in gaming, harkening back to an era of gaming that was difficult but fun. Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon takes many of the aesthetics and themes of Shovel Knight and morphs it into a unique tile-matching puzzle game where the titular hero is trapped inside a puzzle box, and it too is difficult but fun. Hitting enemies and objects to make bigger and bigger chains, clearing the screen of enemies to allow you some breathing room, and giving yourself some form of colon cancer from all the potions you'll have to chug is a fun, if occasionally rough experience. Overall, it's one of the best puzzle games I played this year, and one that I still find myself coming back to on occasion to see just how far into this crazy little puzzle box I can truly get. Otters are my personal favorite animal, and with Space Otter Charlie, I get to play as a cute little spacefaring one with zero gravity gameplay and be rewarded with otter facts. It's a relatively simple platforming title with lots of charm and humor. It's the only game on the list that, again, rewards you with Otter facts, one of the best possible rewards you could get in a game, and that alone makes it an instant favorite in my book. I do wish that one boss in particular was better designed, and there could be a little bit more variety to some of the enemies overall, as well as some of the puzzles, but it is still a fun little game starring one of my favorite animals, and I will not stop until more people know about it enough for me to get a Space Otter Charlie 2 because I want more Otter facts. What looks like Halo and Portal combined into one game is exactly that. The fast-paced and twitch-heavy gameplay of Halo combines with the ability to run through portals that you yourself place on specific surfaces, offers new and fun means of flanking enemies and unique strategies to boot. I fell right into place with the game, harkening back to my days as a Halo SWAT player, just proving that me spending all of that time was worth it for something. The menus can be confusing, and the clear drive towards microtransactions in the form of skins for just about everything on your avatar has me worried. But as of this writing, the game is still only in beta, so maybe some or all of this will be fixed when the game officially releases. And yes, while it technically released originally in 2019, this is a game that I didn't even hear about until this year when its early access released on consoles, and that's the experience I'm talking about here today. And there you have it. Another year down with another year ahead of us full of a variety of gaming experiences to enjoy. I hope you found at least a few games here that you might want to play yourself or that you agree were great, but please let me know down in the comments what some of your favorite games were from this year. Either way, thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe and do all that other fun YouTubey stuff down below. Follow me on Twitter if you don't already, where I post the occasional poll for upcoming videos and stupid stuff like this. And I will see all of you in the next video. Take care.